The Mississippi Supreme Court is delaying a ruling on whether to set an execution date for Willie Manning. An order was issued saying the decision would come after the court rules on Manning's petition for post-conviction relief. The Attorney General's office has until December 29th to respond to Manning's request. Manning was convicted on 2 counts of capital murder in the December 1992 killings of 2 Mississippi State students, John Steckler and Tiffany Miller. The 𝐊𝐃𝐒 County man's legal team has long fought the evidence presented in the case and requested more DNA testing. There's no decision expected until after the first of the year.
Willie Manning, who was convicted in 1994 of 2 counts of capital murder during a robbery, has been seeking post-conviction relief through DNA testing and fingerprint analysis. Manning appealed to the Mississippi Supreme Court to allow him to transfer DNA evidence from the crime scene to a specialized lab for advanced testing. The court partially granted Manning's request, allowing him to proceed with DNA analysis and fingerprint comparison using the procedures outlined in the statute.
Turn now to the controversial case of an African-American prisoner set to be executed tonight in Mississippi. Willie Jerome Manning was convicted of murdering John Steckler and Tiffany Miller, 2 white college students, in 1992. The execution is going ahead after prosecutors in state courts refused to allow new DNA testing that could prove Manning's innocence. What makes the case particularly unusual is that the FBI itself has offered to carry out those tests. The FBI came forward after admitting its original analysis of the evidence during Manning's trial contained errors. The Justice Department sent a letter saying one analyst's testimony at trial, quote, exceeded the limits of the science and was therefore invalid. Manning's attorneys have seized on the FBI's admission. They say that no physical evidence ties him to the murders and that testing hair samples and other evidence could identify a different killer.
But in a 5-4 decision last month, Mississippi State Supreme Court refused to grant a new DNA test, citing what it called, quote, conclusive, overwhelming evidence of guilt, unquote. The court's majority sided with prosecutors' argument that the DNA testing could not, quote, preclude his participation in the crimes, unquote. But on top of the denied DNA test, Manning's attorneys say prosecutors relied on 2 key witnesses whose credibility has since come under question. Concerns have also been raised about alleged racial bias in the selection of the jury that found Manning guilty. One witness was a jailhouse informant who's since recanted. Manning has long maintained his innocence. His attorneys have made a last-minute appeal to Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant. Barring action by Bryant or a court, Manning will be killed by lethal injection at 6 p.m. Eastern Time tonight.
Over a period of 6 years, Manning had the DNA evidence tested and expert fingerprint analysis performed. However, the results were allegedly inconclusive. Manning then appealed the circuit court's decision to deny his motion to transfer the DNA evidence to a different facility for further testing. The Supreme Court, however, determined that the circuit court did not abuse its discretion and affirmed the denial of the request for additional testing. Despite the setback, Manning's pursuit of post-conviction relief has shed light on the importance of advanced DNA testing and fingerprint analysis in criminal cases. While the results may not have been as conclusive as he had hoped, the fact that Manning was able to have the evidence reanalyzed demonstrates the potential for advancements in forensic technology to uncover new information and potentially impact the outcome of a case.
Additional evidence in this case, ballistics, and found that the ballistic evidence that was used against Willie Manning also was invalid.
The FBI found this.
The FBI. And basically the Department of Justice has issued a second letter. So now we have invalid hair testimony, invalid ballistics lying at the heart of this conviction. And the FBI has offered to do DNA testing in this case. We have right now a motion before the Mississippi Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court. As you mentioned, the governor can step in and order the DNA testing, but there's also another key player who has some power here, and that's Attorney General Hood. And he basically is the one who has been opposing DNA testing for all these years, along with the district attorney's office, and they have the power to say, we agree to this testing, halt the execution. It's just amazing in a democracy, you know, built on truth and senses of justice, that we would go forward with killing somebody when we have evidence that can cut to the truth of this case and determine whether or not he really did the crime.
In conclusion, Willie Manning's case highlights the ongoing debate surrounding the use of DNA evidence and fingerprint analysis in criminal trials. While the Supreme Court denied his request for further testing, The pursuit of post-conviction relief through advanced forensic techniques serves as a reminder of the evolving nature of criminal justice and the potential for scientific advancements to uncover new evidence and ensure a fair and just legal system.